And now we will hear Rabbi Moche Lewin, the Vice President of the European Conference of Rabbis.
I want first to thank the Conference of European Churches for organizing this debate, which is very important. I would like to thank them because I thought the debate should be by the Parliament before, with the people, with the Jewish community, with the Muslim community, before pushing a bill to ban circumcision. In the portion of the Bible that we'll read this week, in all our European synagogues, God insists about newborn male. On the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. In Genesis, a lot of times also, we have same statements. And God said to Abraham, "And you shall keep my covenant between you and your seed after you, throughout their generations. This is my covenant, which you shall observe between me and between you, between your seed after you, that every male among you be circumcised." This fundamental biblical injunction, ordained by God for all generations, allows the Jewish child to enter to the covenant with God. The Torah insists so much on this commandment that it forbids for a Jewish non-circumcised man to consume the Paschal lamb. Indeed, the festival of Pesach marks the constitution of the Jewish people and its birth after 2010 years of slavery. And a man who voluntarily would not be circumcised marks his break with the history of the Jewish people. Judaism does not obey to dogmas, but a practice of law called mitzvot. The practice of this law is consubstantial with Judaism. When a Jew does not have the opportunity to practice them, is rich in the depths of his faith. Circumcision and the Jewish identity of a boy are innately inseparable. Ancient Greece, prohibition of circumcision occurred when the Syrian Greeks sought to force Hellenization in the Judeans 2,000 years ago. At that time, performing a circumcision on one child became a capital crime. More recently, Soviet Union prohibited without success, because for 5,000 years, and despite the persecution of the Jews, they've always been careful and determined to practice this important mitzvah. The Talmud, which is the oral law, in Nedarim, said, "Great is the circumcision, for it counterbalances all the other laws of the Torah." Circumcision is so important that it may be performed on a Shabbat or on a Jewish holiday like Yom Kippur, despite prohibition of drawing blood on these days. Abraham performed it by a divine commandment at 99 years old. Abraham circumcised himself as an adult, but his son Yitzhak was the first of his descendants to be circumcised as a neonate on the 8 days. At the time of Abraham, anesthesia, asepsis, sterilization did not exist. Today, through circumcision is regulated in Europe, as recommended by the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe to the member states, and even Iceland, in the resolution 2076. it says, as far as circumcision of young boys is concerned, the Assembly referred to its resolution 1952 on children's right to physical integrity. And out of a concern to protect children's rights, which the Jewish and Muslim communities surely share, recommends that member states provide for ritual circumcision of children not be allowed unless practiced by a person with requisite training and skills in appropriate medical and health conditions. Furthermore, the parents must be duly informed and any potential medical risk or possible contraindication, and take this into account when deciding what is the best for their child, bearing in mind that the child's interest must be concerned for the first priority. I would like today to thank Germany for taking the right decisions when the situation required it. A law was voted in December 12, 2012, authorizing the circumcision of children for religious reasons. The text was adopted by a large majority by the lower house of parliament, Bundestag, with 434 votes in favor, 100 against, and 46 abstentions. In this, if it's obvious that circumcision was a mutilation, as you want to say here in Iceland, Germany, a highly civilized country, particularly concerned with the welfare of childhood, would never have legalized circumcision with such a large majority. Circumcision is one of the commandment practiced in the world by almost all the members of the Jewish community, religious, non-religious, Orthodox, conservative, reform. That's why this law, if it was voted, it will affect all our democratic societies. As far as the Council of Europe does not recommend its prohibition, such a law, contrary to religious freedom, would beyond doubt be attacked at the European Court of Human Rights by many Jewish organizations or non-Jewish organizations. Especially would be experienced by the Jewish community, which has been the target during the last decade of violent anti-Semitism in Europe. It will be felt as a message that Jew has no future in Europe. In conclusion, let me say that circumcision is a non-negotiable for Judaism. Therefore, I wish that wisdom and science will prevail by abandoning this bill that could only lead Europe to live through again history of Jew persecutions.